Oh boy, can you see this? This is incredible. This is why you buy a trailer, for views like this. Well, not every trailer can do this. As you can see, this opens up and you can have some of the most epic views you'll ever have in your entire life. Guess what? You don't need to spend millions of dollars to buy a house to be on lakefront property, or go to the ocean and have a beachfront house, or go into the mountains and have vistas of mountains, expansive views, vistas. This is incredible. Oh my goodness. So welcome. This is going to be the official tour of the all new Pause X. The model number on this is the XC22.4. So it's 22 feet long. That's the box. The overall length is just under 26. Now, some people have said, hey, that trailer looks pretty long. Is it still off-road capable? Well, we've had off-road trailers from the Black Series H219. That's 26 foot 3 inches. So it's actually longer than this. We've had Pause reboots and other Pause models, MDCs. Generally, 25 to 26 feet is a good length. Obviously, if you go way beyond that, then maybe it becomes a little bit less capable off-road. But as far as, is this thing designed to go off-road? Absolutely. But also, it never needs to go off-road. It can stay on-road, and the suspension is going to just keep this trailer in good shape for a long time. Anyway, I'm super excited to show off this all-new Pause X. So let's get into it. I'm going to start walking around. I just wanted to start in here to show you how incredible this back deck is. And you can set out chairs here and just relax. You can shut the gate, have the dogs come out and just enjoy this space. Oh, and a lot of people wonder, well, what if there's bugs? Well, don't worry. We got you covered. There's a screen door. This goes all the way down and it will keep the bugs out. Of course, if you want to close the top and just open up this area, if you're stopping at a rest stop really quick, but you still want to open up half of this, you can. So very cool. Let's get into this all new Pause X tour right now. Yeah, the camera guys are trying to keep me on pace and like do a tour, but I'm just sitting here enjoying the view. I just want to pull out a book and just sit here and read. I could get used to this. I love this feature of having the deck where you can put out your camp chairs and really enjoy nature. A lot of times, you know, you pull up to an area and maybe the ground's uneven, or maybe it was muddy or something. This really gives you the ability to stay off the ground, get out of the mud, or, you know, put your chairs on a nice even area. And then of course you have, I already showed this off, the gate closes and opens. And then you have these really nice sturdy steps. These steps are made by MORryde and it comes with a handrail so you can walk down, be nice and safe. Now this deck, when it goes up and closes up, there's also a bike rack underneath here. So you can have some cargo and some bicycles. Now that is a little bit heavy. When I say a little bit heavy, it's actually quite heavy. So we've had a lot of people complain about it, but don't worry, here at ROA Off-Road, we have some mods that we can do. And so we'll show you, we just did a mod recently where we installed a winch up on the top and it drops down and you can grab it and pull the rack up. So if you do have some heavy stuff on there, or if you hurt your back, you can just push a button and have it pulled up and drop down easily with no issues. We have had some people, like I said, that have bought it and it's almost a 2 to 3 person job sometimes. So keep that in mind. That's something that you're gonna definitely want to get here at ROA. But now let's walk around. I wanna head over to the passenger side, to the kitchen area, and show some of the new features that we haven't seen on any of the previous pauses. Okay, so moving over here, I do want to mention, if you want to see one of these trailers right now, our Utah facility is the only one that has this unit, and this is it. This is the one and only. So we do have some on order. They're all pretty much pre-sold, but they should hopefully be getting moved around to other stores. But hopefully this video will allow you to really get an idea of whether you want this trailer or not. Right now they are custom order. This is the only one out in the wild right now. There is a few changes that are going to happen because this is the very first one. So what happened is Maynard brought this out to a show, and then we discussed a bunch of changes after being in it for a week and having potential customers walking through it constantly at the shows. We were at the Overland show. We wanted to get a bunch of feedback and then make some adjustments for the final production versions coming off the line. So this has been a very, very popular trailer. A lot of people very excited about it. And if you're interested, reach out to ROA Off-Road. Remember, we are the #1 dealer for off-road trailers for PAWs. We essentially have been very, very involved in actually designing these trailers. So nobody knows these trailers the way we do. And that's why we give so much value in the videos up front. And I always like to tell people, if we give this much value before you buy a trailer from us, think about all the value we're gonna give you post-sale. We do rallies and adventures, but let's get to this trailer. I wanna mention one thing is this color is actually going to change. So there's not going to be choices of colors. It's going to be a gray. If you've seen some of the other PAWs or the reboot trailers, they have what we call the stealth edition. And so they're going to be that color, but they're going to be a more of a gloss stealth gray. It's really, really beautiful. We did have a lot of people, over 90% of everybody said that was their favorite color. So we are going to go with that gray. Now this PAWs X is also going to be an aluminum CNC cutout. You're not going to have any decal right here saying PAWs. It will be actual metal, which is really cool because then you'll never have issues with that pilling. Now this down here, this is a guard. This is like a rock guard. It's a very strong rubber, so that will protect the body of the trailer. Let's open this up and show this off because this is something new that's coming on units. You can get it ordered, but this will come on the PAWs X. There's no cables. That's a new thing that some of the previous ones had cables and they just get in the way. So this is very cool and sturdy. And then right here, of course, we have an outlet, and this outlet will work off grid. So if you bring a coffee pot or you can put camera gear out here and be able to charge all your devices right here with no problems off grid. Now coming over to here, there is an exhaust. This is for a heater. Now there is something unique on this unit that's never been on any other PAWs unit. It has a dual climate system. So it has 2 furnaces, and this is going to make it much better in colder weather. So you have heat going into the underbelly as well as into the main cabin or the upstairs where you're living, the living quarters. And there are 2 furnaces. I'll show you on the inside where both of those are controlled. There's one in the bedroom, one in the living room. So it's just going to be able to blast a lot more heat into this trailer to get you into colder climates. Now right here, this is a spigot. There's a faucet where you can plug in hot and cold water. And the reason why you're gonna do that is for your outside kitchen. You know, if you're looking at standard trailers, a lot of people are always asking, why are these trailers more expensive than other trailers out on the market? There are so many little details like heavier duty latches. Right here, this is a metal striker. You'll see some of these units that are plastic, right? This goes up, it's magnetized, so it stays in place. So those types of details, these are obviously a lot more expensive. I had a motor coach, $250,000 motor coach a couple years ago, and they were plastic, and every time you slammed it, they would break. That obviously is not the case with this. You can slam that, no issues, and it doesn't break. So those are just little details that you might not notice unless you're looking for them. So let's open this up. This is the kitchen, and you have an outside kitchen. Pretty much all the PAWs units have the option. And so this is going to be your gray stone griddle, and this puts out a lot of heat. Of course, you have a cutting board right here. This is food grade. It's also magnetic, so it can be pulled off and removed, and then you could use it to potentially put it down here and use to cook. And because it's magnetic, it stays in place. It's very cool. Now this is a new addition to the PAWs X. This is your outside sink. So you're gonna drop that down, and you're gonna be able to have some hot and cold water here. When you're done with this, some people will just grab this and, you know, dump it out. There is also a drain down here, and you can adjust it to pour in different directions. And then you could put a bucket below it, and then that water could just pour down into the bucket. This is a refrigerator and a freezer, so it has the ability to be either one or the other. So if you put your drinks in there, maybe your beers, your Kool-Aid, your root beer. I'm a Kool-Aid guy. I drink the Kool-Aid. Or you can throw your steaks in there and just grill. So let's close this up. Slam it. Slam it. It's not broken. That's what you want to see. Now, there are so many features on these pauses that we've never seen on any trailer. One of them is Garmin. Now, if you're not super familiar with Garmin, Garmin is a phenomenal system. They use these in $100 million yachts, $100 million airplanes. The military uses Garmin. And so the Garmin system actually controls a lot of the things on the pause. Now, there are some things that they've pulled out of the Garmin for more seamless control, like the Victron systems now have their own independent system and don't go through the Garmin. And I think that's a benefit, and I'll talk more about that later. But this Garmin system is very cool. It gives you the ability to turn on the lights. You can control the suspension, and I will get to that in a little bit. This is your pass-through storage up in the front. Now, it doesn't look super wide, but it does go all the way through, and on the other side, there's even more space. Another thing that I want to show off is this all new trash can holder, and I love this because I love having a place to put my trash when I'm out camping. I don't understand why most manufacturers don't give you some sort of option to put your trash, but this will open up, and of course you put a bag and it's just going to hang right here, and you have a place to put your trash, and then you can close it when you're not using it. Coming back up here, there's a lot of cool little features that they've done just to make your life easy, and one of them is, check this out. There's your stabilizer jacks. You just press a button and that's just going to drop down. And these are not necessarily designed to level the trailer or lift the trailer. You're going to level the trailer through the front tongue jack and through your air suspension. So when you get to camp, with a press of a couple of buttons, you're completely level. And then you deploy these just to make it more stable. You know what they say in the trailer. When it's a rockin', don't come a knockin'. This prevents the rockin'. So put those down if you know what I'm talking about. Now, another cool feature that you're going to be getting in all of these pauses is some stools. And you might be like, well, what do I need stools for? Let me show you what you need stools for. Boom, right there. You got two of those, you can throw them out. So if you do want to work outside, if the deck isn't sufficient, if you can't work out on the deck, you can come out here and work right here. Of course, you can put your awning out and have a nice shaded area to hang out. I mean, this trailer, it really is designed for you to, yes, go out anywhere with total creature comforts on the inside, from your bathroom, your beds, everything. But it also is designed to get you outside as well, because all of the features on the exterior really allow you to come out, have power, electricity, and a place to sit, and just gives you the ability to hang out in the outdoors. Now, coming in here, we do have two briefcases that come with this. If you get the max solar package, you have up to 1,800 watts of solar. That's insane. If you don't know how much solar that is, that's a lot of solar. Now, you'll have 1,000 watts on the roof, and then you'll have an additional 800 watts of briefcase solar that comes with the unit, and you just plug that on the exterior on the other side. But let's get walking over to the side and show off more of this unit. Okay, of course, no off-road vehicle would be complete without ARB max tracks. My truck is right behind you, and it also has max tracks because when you need them, you need them. And we actually have used these on these trailers in the desert. We got stuck in the sand. It got pretty deep. So those are great to have. Of course, we have some storage up here. This is a cool little secret storage that pops up, and you have things like your power cord. The pause units do come stock with a power cord, and you might think, well, of course they do. You'd be surprised. Some brand new trailers don't come with power cords. You get to the dealership and they just nickel and dime you on everything. Some dealerships will actually take the power cords out of the trailer and say, oh, that's not included, right? So they'll give you like this really cheap price on the internet, and when you get there, that's like, oh, well, it doesn't have a power cord. It's like, what? How do you not get a power cord, right? So of course, pause gives you a power cord, and ROA Off-Road leaves the power cord in there for you. Right here, we do have our propane tanks. These are 30-pounders. This is something that's going to be changed in the official production unit. They're going to include 40-pound propane tanks. You'll be able to remove those and fill them up anywhere, so you don't have to drive this up to a propane station. But those larger propane tanks are really nice because they give you the ability to stay off grid for a very long time. These 30-pounders would probably last you all summer. Cooking, hot water, your furnace, In the winter, that's where you're going to consume more. The other reason why they've done the 40-pound propane tanks in this is because it does have an onboard generator, and it's a 4,000 watt propane generator. Now, the only reason why you're going to really need to use that generator is to charge your batteries, because everything on this unit is completely off-grid capable. You can run your air conditioner without ever being plugged in. Now, of course, there's some caveats. If your batteries die, then you need to plug in. The cool thing is if your batteries die, you can power up the generator and charge them back up. And that will give you the ability to just stay off-grid much longer. This is one of the new features in the POSX that truly makes it a very, very off-grid capable trailer. The amount of solar that you have stock, the amount of batteries you have stock, and then pairing that up with an onboard propane generator makes this thing truly an extreme off-grid capable vehicle. Now let's talk a little bit about what we have up here. So first off, this is a proprietary hitch, and this hitch was completely built for paws by MORryde. And this is a full articulating ball hitch. This thing drops in and it has the ability to pull this up and pull this out, and you have this ability to go side to side. You can go up and down and in every direction you need. If you're an experienced trailer owner already, a lot of people really want to tow with an equalizer hitch or sway bars. Generally, if you're looking at off-road trailers, the type of articulating hitches don't allow you to do that because this is a standard ball hitch. You can use any type of articulating hitch and mount it on these sides without any issues. And while you're on the highway, you'll be able to tow with any type of equalizer hitch, which is a really nice feature for people that love that. Of course, we do have our standard 7-pin right here, and this is going to go into your truck, and that's going to control all of your lights, brakes, just like any other standard trailer in America. Now, there is something extra that's been added on this, and I'm going to move these chains out of the way so you can see it. But right here, there's a little plug, and you pull off this rubber, and you can see this little plug. This is called an Anderson plug. Now, this is super common in a lot of spaces. In the off-road industry, they use this Anderson plug quite a bit. The reason why they use this in Australia opposed to this standard 7-pin, because the standard 7-pin in the US does technically charge batteries, but generally you're trying to charge, maybe a 100 or 200 amp hour AGM or gel battery or lead acid battery even. We're trying to charge over 1,000 amp hours of lithium batteries, which I'll show you in a bit. Those batteries can actually be charged through this system up to 50 amps per hour while driving. And this is going to be like a trickle charge, like a few amps. So this is a really robust system. And at ROA Off-Road, one of the great things is we do mods for trailers. Like I already mentioned, that lift for the back tailgate or the back bike rack. We also install Anderson plugs onto vehicles. So if you come to pick up your trailer, the day of your pickup, you can bring your truck in and we can install an Anderson plug on your truck so that you can utilize this. And we'll run it from your alternator all the way back to the bumper of your truck so you can be able to plug in and utilize that incredible power going back to the trailer and charging your batteries really fast. And we do that currently in Utah, South Carolina, and Colorado Springs. So that is another one of many reasons why you work with ROA Off-Road, because we can truly not just get you on the road with your trailer, but we can also help you, support you better than anybody else. We have technical support over the phone. So if you have issues down the road, we have a world-class service tech guy that talks to people over the phone to help them sort out any issues they have while they're in transit or traveling. Because think about it, usually when you break down, it's never at your house, it's when you're out camping. And most dealerships, they're gonna say, oh, turn it around and bring it to the dealership. We can't do anything for you over the phone. That's not what you get at ROA Off-Road. Obviously, some things do need to be done at the dealership, but we try very hard to support you wherever you're at and get you into a facility to get it fixed. So just one of many reasons to work with us. Of course, this little button right here is for something that I absolutely love, which is your electric tongue jack. So you just push this button and it lifts up and gets off your truck. I'm all about ease when it comes to camping. I'm going out to camp because I want to enjoy myself. I don't want to get to camp, set up my trailer and be drenched in sweat and then have to take a shower afterwards. So Everything on the Pause is about convenience and ease, from the leveling systems to the stabilizer jacks to the front tongue jack. It's just by a press of a button and you're camping, you're enjoying yourself. Okay, since we're talking about some of the things that we do here at ROA and also the electronics, that Anderson plug, so it actually comes to that system that I was referring to called the DC to DC charger, and that's actually back here. This is your entire electrical system, and this electrical system is pretty phenomenal. This is a Victron system. So Victron, if you're not familiar with it, you can go and Google it. They originally come out of the marine industry. They are considered the best electrical components in the entire world, and they really are superb. There's so many things that you can do with the Victron. Here at ROA, we have the ability to customize this Victron system really, really well. Before, when it was integrated into the Garmin, it was much more difficult. Now we have the ability to add sensors. We can add door sensors. So if your door opens, it will send a notification to your phone. We can add temperature sensors, exterior, interior, wherever you want. If you want to know, what the temperature is on the inside of your pass-through compartment, we can actually put that into the Victron system. Right here, we have the brains of the Victron system. This is your Serbo GX. You can actually connect into internet. There's also a micro SD in there. So it's taking your data and it's storing it. So if you had an issue, you could call into Victron or ROA, like I mentioned, our world-class tech support. You could call in, you could get connected to Wi-Fi, and we could wirely remote into your trailer and say, oh, this setting was done incorrectly. Or we could say, hey, it looks like your solar panel is not bringing in solar. There's a lot of things that we can do and support you via remote through the Serbo system. And then of course you have the Orion XS, and this is the 12 volt DC to DC charger. This is a 50 amp charging system, and that's the system that goes up to that Anderson plug, so you can plug it into your truck and get a very, very good charge to charge this battery bank. Down here we have two MPPT solar charge controllers, and now you might say, what is that? Essentially, a lot of people don't understand solar and battery, and I don't want to get too much into that stuff, but essentially the way it works is your solar panels on your roof, they don't actually necessarily create power. What they do is they collect power. So the sun hits the panels and it just is collecting the power, kind of like a lake, like a reservoir, right? The reservoir is to collect the water. And then if you were to have a hydro plant or something to create energy from the water, that would be something different. So essentially your solar panels will collect the energy. That energy will come down and it goes into the MPPT solar charge controller. And what that does is it then sends power to essentially the battery bank. And that battery bank is then what gives you power through this system or through the batteries directly. So like I said, I don't want to get too much into this, and I'm not some master electrician either, but I do understand how these things work. Now, a standard thing, you might look at some off-road trailers, previous off-road trailers we've sold, or even American-built off-road trailers, or they claim to be. A lot of them don't actually use MPPTs. A lot of them use a PWM. And you might say, oh, what's the difference? It's kind of like a smart TV, like a flat LED smart TV versus a tube TV. They both essentially are televisions and they can broadcast a picture, but the tech of one is significantly better. So the MPPT is obviously the newest, the best, and that's what you want. Now you have a solar charge controller for all of your panels on the roof, and then you have a solar charge controller for your panels off the roof where you can plug in and have those briefcase set up. And that's really cool because the redundancy of this system allows you, if one system fails, you have a whole nother system to be able to keep charging your batteries. And if that system fails, you have an onboard generator to charge your batteries. So there's a lot of systems that will help you if you're an off-grid. Oh, and guess what? If your generator fails, you have your DC to DC charger. You could plug your truck in and turn it on and it becomes a generator. So that's 4 redundancies for charging your batteries. That's pretty cool. Not a lot of trailers do that. Now moving over to here, we have our 3000 watt inverter and charging system. So this is going to, so if you were to plug in, hey, I said 4, there's actually 5 systems. You have shore power. Obviously, if you're off grid, you're not going to have access to shore power, but this you're going to plug into an outlet. If you pull into a campground, you're going to plug in right here, and this is going to go into this, and it's going to send a charge to your batteries. When you unplug and you're completely off grid, this works as what we call an inverter. And what that does is it takes your batteries and it changes the power from 12 volt battery to 120 volt AC. So it's DC to AC. And the AC power essentially is allows you the ability to run a blow dryer or a microwave or a laptop. Anything that you plug into an outlet will work because this system right here. Now, just on the other side of here, which you access inside just below the booth, is our battery bank. And you do have some options. This one is set up fully loaded with 1,080 amps of lithium batteries. Once again, I don't like to get way too technical. Sometimes people just want to understand what they're looking at on the trailer. But just as an understanding, 1,080 amps of lithium battle-borne batteries is comparable to about 22 standard lead acid batteries. So we just took a trade-in on a trailer that cost $60,000 and it came with one lead acid battery up in the front. It was a 100 amp hour battery. You would have to have 22 of those batteries to give off the same amount of power that this battery system gives. So if you were to think of something like an EV that's super efficient and has the ability to drive a car, propel a vehicle, those things have huge battery banks. This, compared to what's standard in the RV industry, has an insane battery bank. Not as big as a electric vehicle, but very, very powerful. Okay, as we move up, this is your other exhaust port for the secondary furnace. And then as we move to this area, I'm going to point out a few things. I mentioned the front storage pass-through on the other side. This is the other side to it. And as you can tell, it kind of elbows here, so you have a lot more storage in here. And another thing that I want to point out is you have your compressor, and I'll talk about this in a little bit. This compressor controls the air suspension. It also gives you the ability to pump up bicycles, rafts. When you're out camping, if you have anything that needs air, this has an onboard air tank and compressor right here. Another feature that's been added in this model is you have a heat duct into this underbelly area. So this entire pass-through storage is heated. So you're not going to have issues. The bed's above there, and sometimes if you don't heat that, you have that temperature change between outside and inside, and that can actually be very cold underneath the bed. You could also create condensation issues, and also this air compressor, if it gets too cold, it can also freeze. So these are little details that Pause has been working through. This is now their official 3rd year in production. Just like any vehicle, I don't care what you're buying. If it's a brand new Ford, Toyota, or a Tesla, there's going to be issues in the first years or 2 years, right? Ford has been around for over like going on 100 years or longer, right? So there's been so many renditions and improvements over time. Pause is no different. You know, I've never claimed they're perfect. There's always going to be issues, but these are little things that they've noticed and they've added enhancements and they've fixed them in here. Now, another thing that they got a lot of complaints about was the ladder that was always stationary sticking out. A lot of people didn't like it. So what they've done is they've added this ladder, and this thing is pretty awesome. It's very compact. You can see it has this little clip right here, and you can unclip that and it extends all the way up, and then it goes into these little cleat holders, and you have two, one there and one up here. The nice thing about that is most of the roof is solar panels. So this allows you to get up and be able to clean your solar panels, and then you can move the ladder over and clean the rest over there. So you don't necessarily have to get on the roof and crawl around up there. Of course you can. It is a walkable roof. You have no issue getting on the roof. Moving back, we have the Truma AquaGo. This is an on-demand water heater. And what that means is essentially it does not have a tank. Truma, if I haven't mentioned, is one of the best component companies in the world. It's a German company, and they are known for making the best air conditioners, water heaters, furnace, ultra efficient, very reliable. This is a water heater made by Truma, and now it does not have a tank. If you're looking at Suburbans and other water heaters in the US, they're generally going to be using a tank. Essentially, once you turn on the faucet, it's going to sense that it needs to turn on, and it's sensed by pressure, and then we'll immediately engage and start making hot water, and you'll have hot water at your tap, which means you can take an hour-long shower if you wanted to. Another cool thing about this system that you don't generally have on-demand systems is this has a circulating pump in it as well. And so it actually runs to the water lines, to the spigots near the shower, near the sinks, so that when you turn on the faucet, it will engage a lot quicker and you'll get pretty close to instant hot water and on demand. Most on demand systems, you have to turn it on and you have to wait for it to sense it. And so you'll use up a lot of cold water in the line before it turns hot. This is gonna be way faster. And most of them do not have that circulating system. That's extra plumbing lines that you actually have to run in production. It's not something you can do aftermarket. You have to run the lines during production of the actual trailer. Now coming back here, we have our Nautilus system. And the Nautilus, we have an outside shower right here. So you can be able to spray the kids off, spray the dog. There also is a port down here. If you hook up your water system, you can run a hose and it will come out down here. And this is great because then it allows you to shut the door. Seems like an obvious thing to do, but we've had manufacturers where they don't actually have these ports and you end up not being able to shut your door. So the hose is just dangling outside. It also, if it gets cold in here, it's not going to protect against the cold. So this closes up. You'll have heat behind here and it will keep it all nice and warm. You do have a black tank flush as well. And then you have this system, it's called the Nautilus P4 system. When you buy a trailer from ROA Off-Road, just so you know, we are renowned for doing the longest walkthroughs. We're gonna teach you how all this stuff works when you come to pick up the trailer. In addition to that, we also have a private video library for owners. These are only people that buy trailers from us. So when you buy this unit, you're gonna get a full handover or walkthrough video and you'll be able to watch all of this stuff. And we go into tons of detail on how these systems work. Another cool feature that they've done is they've brought the Anderson connection right here. So now you plug into right here and this goes into your solar charge controller for your briefcases. Previously, they were exposed on the wall and you just plug them in here, but now you can use this guy and just plug it in right here. And of course you can run the wires through this port down below. Moving back here, obviously we have a black handle and that's for black, and this is gray and it's for gray. So when you pull up to a dump station, you're gonna hook up right here and then you'll just pull these and it will dump the sewage out. Or if you're at a campground, you can plug in and then you can hook up your water and you can have a continuous system as if you were at a house. You could shower and use and it would be draining and filling at the exact same time simultaneously. And then you could take showers for hours with the Truma AquaGo. Another nice feature down here is your low point drains, super easy to access. These are on valves, so you just turn that. This is all winterized, so it's just shooting out antifreeze at the bottom. Some of these things, if you go into some standard trailers, first of all, these are a pain to get into. Sometimes they're under compartments. You got to dig through stuff, and they're funky valves that you have to get a tool with. This is just a knob, easy and quick to be able to access. Something that I want to point out, which I really like, and I know this is very important to some people, is made in America. With the pause, you have a manufacturer that's in America, made in America, by Americans. Now you may be asking or saying, Shane, a lot of trailers made in America are pretty cheap. A lot of the imports that are coming in are built way better. And quite frankly, that is true. That's kind of what we did. For a long time, there was nothing in America that was built with good quality. So we went out and started working with imports and bringing stuff in from Australia, Africa, China. And believe it or not, those trailers were built way better than anything in America. A lot of the stuff coming out of Indiana was super, super cheap and it would just fall apart. Now, Forest River or Palomino Paws, they reached out to us almost 3 years ago. The second we got the call, I thought, Forest River, Palomino? No way. I'm not talking to these guys, right? And they were like, no. We actually noticed that you guys were selling some imports, some units that you were importing from China and from Australia, and those things look great. We want to compete with these people and we want to be building the best stuff in America. You should come see what we've been working on for the last year or so. They had a bunch of prototypes they were building and I was like, oh, I don't know. So they said, just come meet us. We're going to be at the Overland show. You can come and check out our stuff. So this was almost, like I said, 3 years ago, going on 3 years ago. We went out, we met with them, we saw the very first Paws models. And immediately I was blown away. I was like, there is no way something this good is being built in America. Now, like I said, nothing is without issues or flaws or problems. And plus, Maynard and the Paws group, they were trying to be extremely innovative. They were introducing things like Garmin's that controls the trailer. That had never been done before. And one of the cool things is Maynard said, you know, I was noticing a lot of these mom and pop shops trying to build off-road trailers. And what they were doing is they would either import stuff from China, or they would go to Australia. They would buy pieces and parts and components like Cruise Master suspension, and then they would just slap it on a box in the US. And he said, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to go and import stuff. I wanted to make it in America. So I went and I talked to MORryde. MORryde is considered one of the best frame companies and suspension companies in America, especially for trailers. And so he said, hey, I was doing research. This was Maynard. I saw this company called Brooder, and they had this suspension that supposedly claims 12 inches of travel. So he went to MORryde and said, can you make me a suspension? I want it stronger. I want it more robust. I want it to have more travel than anything else in the world. And so MORryde said, you know what, let's do it. So they teamed up with Maynard, and you now have a all aluminum huck riveted frame that's sitting on this incredible MORryde suspension. This unit actually has 12 inches of travel. This can articulate up and down, side to side. You can level your trailer from side to side. You're sitting on 8 Bilstein gas shocks. You have limiting wires so they can't overextend. They're sitting on these airbags that give you incredible comfort and travel. So this thing, when you're driving down the highway, it's just going to hit, if you hit a pothole or a bump, it just glides right over this. And a lot of people think, oh, I don't need to go off-road. I don't need to go extreme. And I'm like, you don't understand, like most travel trailers in America, going down the highway, they're getting vibrated and they're falling apart. And the main reason is because most trailers are on a solid axle with leaf springs and there's no cushion. This is like getting into an old truck in the 80s, the 70s that has no independent suspension, no gas shocks, and you're just running frame on leaf springs and solid axles. So this is going to be an incredible smooth ride. This unit actually is the best towing pause unit. We've towed it. Our transporter towed it from Indiana down to the shows in California, and they were all like, wow, this is the best towing trailer they've ever towed. So it tows really well, and it's not just because the way it's balanced, but it's also that suspension is really, really good. Underneath the frame down here, we have a full plated aluminum shield, and it's completely covering all the underbelly, so it's not exposed. You're not going to have anything hitting up and protruding and hitting into a tank. Above this underbelly, you have insulation foam board, and then above that, you'll have your water tanks. Your water tanks do have heated pads on them as well. Speaking of the frame itself, I mentioned it is aluminum. It's huck riveted. Now, a lot of people say, why huck riveted versus welded? One of the main reasons they decided to go huck riveted is MORryde purchased a machine specifically for the pause frames, and this machine, it will go through and it laser cuts every single hole in this frame, so it's always precise every single time. A lot of times when you're welding, you get human error. People are placing, you know, joists or frames at different spots. So this is going to be huck riveted, so it's consistent every single time. Also huck riveted, you'll see this on suspension bridges, you'll see it in airplanes, aircraft. It's generally designed for more vibration. So they figured if you're vibrating constantly, whether you're on or off-road, this is going to hold up longer than welds that could potentially break. Above the frame, we have the walls. Now these walls are unique in the sense that they have a fiberglass on the inside and outside, but they also have a foam insulation barrier on the exterior wall. And this is not normal for most trailers. Generally, the way most trailers are going to be built is they're going to have an aluminum skeleton, and that's going to be like a house, studs. And you're going to see those aluminum studs all across the whole entire wall. What they'll do is put a foam insulation board in between the studs, and then they'll apply a fiberglass, if you're lucky, fiberglass. Sometimes they'll put a fiberglass with a wood backing, which is not good. Sometimes they won't even use a true fiberglass. They'll use a wood backing. If you're lucky, they'll do Asdel. But they'll do a fiberglass, and sometimes they call it, it's actually a fiberglass infused plastic. So it's an FRP, so it's not even real fiberglass. It's pretty cheap and inexpensive. And you'll notice it gets wavy over time because you'll see where the stud lines are. The other issue with that is when it gets cold outside, if you have condensation, you'll see the actual studs on the exterior, because the only thing that's preventing, the only thing that's in between the exterior and the studs is a thin, maybe if you're lucky, less than an 1/8 inch thick piece of plastic or fiberglass. Generally, you'll see that, and over time, you'll get fading and you'll see flashing through the walls. So the way these walls are built is they actually have a 1/2 inch foam barrier that goes across the entire length of the trailer. And then on the inside of that foam barrier is the studs. So what that does is it eliminates that transfer of heat or cold through the studs and then into the trailer. Now, another cool thing is this is actual fiberglass and it has a Azdel backing. And an Azdel backing is a composite material with 0 wood in it. So you do not have any wood in this fiberglass. And generally wood is what allows for delamination, because wood, it's a living, breathing organism. Even after you cut it down, it will still breathe and it will deform over time. If you get water in it, it will start to get waterlogged and it will expand and retract. And then a lot of times the glues will come undone and it will delaminate. You can't have that happen with Azdel and fiberglass put together, because it's all synthetic material that doesn't get waterlogged or rot or mold or mildew. And then on the interior, you also have fiberglass as well. So this is a really good way to build a wall. Now, a lot of times people will say the future of wall building should be all composite material. Now, I don't totally disagree. I do like composites. The issue with some composites is they're very hard to work with. If you do have damage to the wall, it's very hard to replace without replacing the entire wall. Fiberglass, you can go to a boat shop, you can go to an RV shop. A lot of people can work on fiberglass, so they're much easier to repair, maintain. You can Bondo it, you can repaint it. Fiberglass is something you can work with very easily. So some people will say, oh, but the thermal properties is really good with composites. And yes, but that's the reason why we've built a thermal barrier across the entire trailer. The issues that I've seen with composites, besides that they're hard to work on, some composites, if they're not good quality over time, they can warp and bend. And because it's such a long piece, they don't always stay straight. Sometimes they have a lot of imperfections in them. The other issue is the roof. Composites don't generally come in any way except for flat. So though they may be good for a wall, for a roof, you have a flat roof. And that's another cool feature about this unit, is that there is an actual radius to this roof. So at the very top of the roof, it's higher than at the bottom, almost 3 inches down to about 1.5 or 2 inches. So you have a slope, so when it rains, it's going to run off the roof. A lot of trailers that we've sold that have composite roofs, we've noticed puddling or water will get up there and it will sit, and it will sometimes get between a vent, and over time that can cause water intrusions or leaks. So, you know, there can be benefits to some things and then drawbacks to other things. Personally, I really, really like the way these walls are built. We have a lot of owners that are out in the wild living in these trailers, and they are reporting back phenomenal things when it comes to the installation of these trailers. Okay, as you can see, we have a massive light bar on the front, as well as a camera, and those have night vision. And also you have lights all the way around the trailer. So you have 360-degree lights as well as cameras. So you have front, rear, and side cameras all the way around the trailer, as well as lighting. Another cool thing about the lights on this trailer is you do have amber lights. So that's white light and amber. And amber generally deters the bugs. Another cool thing is this awning. As you can see, this awning is massive. It covers most of the side of the trailer. If you come in here, you can turn on the lights, and there you have it. You have your lights on the arms right here. And then also you have that ember light that I was pointing out. Also, we have our stereo system, and that's inside and outside. You have speakers. You can hook up your Bluetooth and be able to listen to music. These stairs are really nice. These are MORryde steps, and they're huge. Like, the actual rungs are very big. We were selling a trailer a couple of years ago that had steps that were half the length, and we had people slipping off them all the time. It was really dangerous. So, huge fan of these MORryde steps. 400-pound capacity, so they can barely hold me, because I'm like almost 400 pounds of pure muscle. Luckily, they can actually hold me. Now, this is something new too, this handlebar. It's actually pretty sturdy, and it's really easy to set up. You just pull that lever and it goes in like that. And when you get to camp, You just grab it, pull it up, and it locks in. And then you have a nice sturdy handrail and nice big steps to walk into the trailer. These steps feel more residential, just so you know. Okay, here we are inside. This unit is beautiful. Yes, we are completely off grid and the air conditioner is on. It's actually getting pretty warm here. So I'm like, came in, turned the air conditioner on, and it's working. It's nice and cool. This is a Truma, once again, and it is a 13,500 BTU air conditioner. And this is more than enough AC for a unit this size. And I would like to say it's gonna be good in any region because these walls are built so well. Not just the walls, the windows are incredible. I'll get into the windows in a little bit. First, I just wanna point out some features. Now, I mentioned there's gonna be some changes in the upcoming production unit. One of the things is we have this massive area to lounge. You can easily put 4 adults. I think you can squeeze 6 adults here. I'm a large guy, and if you look at this, I mean, you can put 3 adults at this table. Now you might say, well, where's the rest of the table? There's a space right here. The production unit is going to have a table that extends all the way to here, so you won't have any issues with having an extra person sit right here. There is on this unit a little piece that fills in if you turn it into a bed, but the production unit will have it go all the way across. Another cool thing about this is this whole bench area flips up and out of the way. And there are some rails on the floor where if you were to put some bikes or toys in here, you could strap them down. You also have some straps down over here by the kitchen area right here. These 2 straps come up and you're able to really tie everything down. Of course, if you're not going to be using that as much and you're a couple, throw some rugs down. You could cover it up and it would look very nice in here. Now, another thing that I want to point out is there is not any wood in this construction on the inside of this trailer. So generally you're going to be dealing with particle board, press board. If you're lucky, you might have some premium wood. Everything you see here is all aluminum. So this is really beautiful, and you can see there's even design features that make it look more like wood. But these latches come down and you open it up, and this is all aluminum. And let me show you this side as well. This is going to open and it's double-sided, and they actually put some foam in here. So when you knock on it, it sounds more like wood. It doesn't have a tingy metal sound, which is a nice feature for you to make it feel more homey. When we were at the show and people were coming in, they were like, oh my gosh, this is so much more beautiful in person than even the video. And we try really hard to make these things look good in the video so you can really know what it feels like, but in person, it really feels homey in here. The lighting is really nice. You have lights along the roof. You have lights down here. Of course, you have some lighting features down along the floor, and that lighting feature, you can adjust it. You have a little switch here and you can change the color. So if you don't like blue, you can go to a white or a gray or a green or a red, whatever you want to do. It has a lot of adjustability. That's just kind of an ambient mood light. Of course, you have lots of storage space. One of the other things that's going to change in the production unit, right now they have this sink and it has this Corian cover, and this sink is pretty deep. It's actually a very deep sink. But they're going to go to a little bit of a deeper sink, not too much, but they're going to go to a square sink. So the square sink is going to come out here and just give you a larger space. You'll also be able to cover it and use it all as counter space, but it's going to be much larger to be able to do dishes. And you will end up losing part of your drawers, your top drawer right here. So just keep that in mind. But we did have a lot of people at the shows request a larger sink. Especially if you want to full-time or use this a lot and do a lot of cross-country, that larger sink might be nice. Now, lots of things to talk about in here. Where do I begin? Tons of power outlets. You have this power strip, so you can pull this up. You have 2 outlets, plus you have USBs, so you can plug in cell phones. If you come over here, you can see we have more chargers right here. So if you're working, doing stuff on the computer, you can plug in your stuff right here. This is all solid surface. It's an acrylic material, but when you touch it, feel it, it feels like stone. It looks like stone. It's a very premium feeling. Over here, we have our indoor stereo speakers that I was talking about. And then you have some cupboard space up here as well. And this will open up and you have good amount of storage all throughout the trailer, which is really nice. You have storage all the way up here as well. One of the things that I really appreciate, a lot of their wiring harnesses they put behind here, and you can see these panels are screwed on. So you can unscrew and be able to get to your wiring harnesses for any electrical components that are running behind there. Coming over here, some people mentioned, hey, that TV looks pretty small. The production unit is going to actually have a larger TV, and it's going to rotate and stow right here. But when you pull it out, you'll be able to rotate it here, and it will be much larger. So if you're chilling out on the booth, you'll have a much larger TV to be able to relax and watch. And then of course you have light switches here. This is your awning control. So the awning comes in and out by a push of a button. No need to get out there and crank anything. Another thing that I want to point out is all of the incredible storage you have down here. Down here you have all these drawers that come all the way out, and you also have soft close. Everything just feels so premium when you're touching things. You also have your tire sensors. This is your air pressure monitoring system. These drawers down here are the full depth of the entire counter. So when you open this up, you have the entire depth of this counter. So that's going to allow for very large pots and pans, and everything is going to be soft close as well. Look at that. More storage under here as well. And you have a shelf. Of course, Pause gives you all your books and your manuals. There's a bunch of goodies in here, things that you need to pull out and play with. You have your camera monitoring screen in there that you can hook up in your truck while you're driving. And then of course we have a 3-burner Furion cooktop. I had somebody in here the other day. When they saw this microwave, they're like, oh my gosh, it's an oven. So this actually will bake. This is a convection microwave oven. So you can turn this on and you can use it like a standard microwave in a house, or you can turn it to bake and you can bake stuff in this. And that makes it really nice because you can get that crispy baked feeling, like as if you were using it in an oven. Obviously it's not massive, but it is nice to have that feature. Moving down here, you can see there's an access panel, but you also see the Pause logo down there. And I love those little details. That's actually your cold air intake. So the furnace is behind there. So that's pulling in the cold air and recirculating and making it hotter. So I just like those little details. If you look down along the floor to where this light is, you can see we have ducts, and that's for your furnace. Now moving over to this side, there are some features that I really, really like. Number one, it has a Dirt Devil central vac system. So you open this up and you plug in the hose, and that will immediately engage. Or you can get a broom and you can sweep, and just, this is called a kick sweeper. So you just push this button. Okay, moving up into the fridge space area, we have a refrigerator down below, and of course the freezer above. This is a Furion, and it is a super freeze. These things work incredible, actually. They run off of 12 volt. Most standard trailers in America are still using gas, which means there's a flame behind the trailer, ready for birds to fly in and create nests and burn down your trailer. That's not going to be an issue with this because you don't actually have to vent it, and it's completely fireless. There's no flame behind this fridge is what that means. This fridge is massive. I mean, you can see I can put an entire case of water in a long ways and have no issues. And that freezer is also really large. It says you can have fish, chicken, and steak in the freezer for a long time. 12 months, as a matter of fact. So clearly it goes below freezing to keep things nice and cold. Now, I want to talk about some of the electronic components because I think those are really important. We have a Victron system and a Garmin system, and these are some of the things that have been uniquely designed for Pause. So you got to check this out. Let's go and show off this Garmin right now. Okay, so this is the Garmin system right here, and I want to show you, this also has the ability to hook up to your phone. So if you get the Garmin app, you can hook into the computer, and you essentially have the exact same system here. You click on this, and it looks very similar. Now you're gonna have a lot of different menus on this. You have your home menu, which controls your fantastic vent fan. You can have it go in or out the air. You can control your lights, your air conditioner here. Going into here, you can go to a lighting page, and same thing on this phone. you go to a lighting page as well, right there. And then you can control all your lights, inside, outside, all exterior, on, all off. You can turn them on individually. You can actually push on the display itself, like the picture of the floor plan. And then if you click on the actual living room, it gives you a dimming option. So you can make it nice and dark, or dim, or nice and bright, whatever you're trying to do. Of course, you have your water features. And I mentioned that there's heated tanks. So you can turn on your tank heaters. And this is if you're in extremely cold temperatures. Those are pads that go on your water tank and your gray tank and your black tank, and it allows them to not freeze. And then of course you have your airbag suspension, and just with a push of a button you can lift or drop your suspension up to 12 inches. Another cool thing is, like I mentioned, you can also do everything on your phone. You have the ability to control up or down, and you can do that right through the phone while you're driving in the truck. This is actually really cool. Like if you're driving and you say, hey, honey, we're coming up to a rest stop. It's kind of cool. It's like a cool feature. Have the boat in the background. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're like, hey, honey, we're coming to a rest stop. Let's stop and have lunch. You can actually turn the air conditioner on from your truck as you're driving down the road. And when you get back into the camper, it will be nice and cold in here. So now moving over to this area down here. Now, one of the things that they're doing in the newest Pause, in the Pause X, is they're taking the Victron system out of the Garmin system, and now they have a separate display that controls all your Victron components. Now, I mentioned earlier that here at ROA Off-Road, we do a lot of modifications, and we have the ability to do a lot of cool things with this Victron system. If you want to know how much propane you have in your tanks, we can install monitors and we can integrate them into this Victron. So there's a bunch of different menus. You have your overview, which it kind of tells you what's happening, where the solar's coming in. We're bringing in 40 amps solar. We've been running the air conditioner. We were running it for probably close to an hour, and you can see our batteries are at 97%. So it's charging, bringing in solar. Another thing that's new, and I've mentioned it a few times already, is we have an onboard generator. So you have a button right here to start the generator. It is also set up that if it senses the batteries getting too low, it will automatically turn on. So these are some settings that you can do. You can do the auto start and just leave it on. And so if you're out camping, or you leave the dogs inside and you're running the air conditioner, once the batteries get down too low, it will automatically start up the generator and keep the air conditioner going, keep the dogs nice and cool. Now, if you don't want that on, you can turn it off. And then if you want to just start it by yourself, there's some cool different options. You can say, hey, run for an hour, or, you know, turn off at this time or turn on this time. Or you can just click start. Takes a second to load. You're going to hear it kick on in a second. And it's surprisingly quiet. If you shut the doors are open. The back door is open still. But I don't know if you can hear it running, but it is running. Obviously, it's a generator. It's 4,000 watts, so it's not a teeny little generator, but it works fantastic. And then if you want, you just click stop, and the generator turns off. There you have it. And then one thing that I forgot to point out earlier is we do have another outlet here. Pause is really good about giving lots and lots of outlets in the entire trailer. So, okay, now that we are done with this area, let's head up to one of the most magical places, the bedroom and the bathroom. That's also a nice place. That's the whole reason why you buy a camper, is for a good bathroom. Excuse me, I'm in the bathroom, man. Check this out. I can close off the bathroom from the main room. And what's kind of crazy is there's another door right here. And what that means is I can close the bathroom off from the bedroom. So if we close this up, we're completely enclosed in a nice bathroom area. So let me show you what we got in our bathroom. Nice porcelain toilet. Everybody always needs a porcelain toilet with a quick kickstand to be able to unload whatever's in there. You want to always unload whatever's in there. Of course, this is a massive space. If I were to close that door off, this becomes a massive bathroom, shower, and toilet area. But even if I were to close this door, I have a lot of space. You can see my arm. I got plenty of room to do my business. Right down in front of me, I have some storage. It is pretty deep, the whole depth of the countertop. Moving up here, We have a GFCI outlet. So you ladies with your blow dryers, your curling irons, yes, you have access to that. Right above that, we have a switch for a light in here. And of course, your porcelain basin with a mirror and a towel holder. And of course, a nice modern black faucet as well. And some more storage above here for you to boot. That's where the toilet paper goes. Maybe the toilet paper goes down low. I don't care where you put your toilet paper, but there's a good amount of storage in here. Of course, we have our fantastic vent fan. You know why they call that a fantastic vent fan? Because it's fantastic after you go to the bathroom. It gets everything out really fast, and you don't want stuff lingering in the toilet ever. That's pretty universal. Of course, we do have a nice window, so if you want to have people stare at you while you go to the bathroom, you can. Check this out. Look at this view. There's like people boating on the lake. We got snow-capped mountains. How many places in the world do you have this? Snow-capped mountains with a lake in the background. People are boating. We're camping, we're boating, and there's people probably up skiing right now. That's pretty cool. So let's head on over to this side and show you the shower. Okay, so now here we come into the shower area. Now, some people have complained about this curtain, and they are changing it. They're going to a different curtain, so it's not just material. It's going to be a harder, regular shower curtain. I think it's like a PVC or something, plastic type of, but it's not going to be this material. You have a light in here. You have a dome, so it is very tall. I'm 6 feet, and I have plenty of headroom. Not going to be any issue for anybody around 6'4" or shorter. Your ceilings, floor to ceilings, are also very tall, so you got lots of good headroom in here. We got our shower as well as little storage areas for our soap. Now, you guys forgot my bar of soap.
We've done it in this one.
So did we do it? Tape. Okay, let's just roll the tape. Let's get over and roll that tape. That beautiful bean footage of me dropping the bar. And check it out. The marketing guys, they finally got my bar of soap. We've been waiting for years to get a legitimate bar of soap. As you can see, I don't know why it says Fight Club, but whatever. I've never seen, if this is a movie, I've never seen it. I don't know what the significance of that is. Now, it is a small shower, so it's not huge, but you know, to be able to completely be separated and have a nice big area to get in and out and change and undress and, you know, use the bathroom and be separated off from the living room and the bedroom is very, very cool. Okay, now we're back. So let's head on into where all the magic happens. The bedroom. Wait, look, first, we got towel holders. Isn't that nice? You got 2. There you have it. I love the little details like that. It's important. Come into my bedroom. Okay, so there is 2 things that have happened in this trailer that a lot of people request all the time. So it feels a little bit tight. In the production unit, it's going to be about 2 inches thinner on each side. So this walking space will be a little bit wider. And then you're going to have a choice of 2 single beds. Right now, we have these cushions here. These are going to be deleted, and you're going to have a full-time stationary counter space with that similar Corian, and there'll be outlets. There are 2 outlets down here, but they're going to move outlets right up by the bed, so you can plug in your devices, your tablets, your cell phones, whatever you want to do. You'll have that, and it will be always stationary, and you'll have 2 twins. If you do not want 2 twins and you want a king size bed, then you can option it's the standard 72 by 80 king size bed. That's like a California king / regular king. 80 inches long, 72 inches wide, which is a California king. So it is a king size bed. You could potentially put any type of king size bed in there. And on the sides, which is right here, you'll have a counter space going across the whole thing, and you'll have outlets up by your head. So you'll be able to have places to plug in your cell phones. So this is kind of like a filler. If you've watched some of the previous videos, you saw this as like a filler. They're doing away with that. It's going to be one or the other. So you're going to choose whether you want a king setup or you want 2 twins. Of course, we have our TV here. We have our light switch right here as well. And we have the Sirocco fans, and there will be 2 fans in the production unit. So you'll have a his and hers. And then of course you have nice reading lights over here to be able to, these are actually magnetic, so you can pull them out, you can charge them. Pretty cool little lights. Up here we have some extra cabinet space and you can access into here, as well as some storage space up here. Now, another thing about the king size bed is once they build that platform across, they're going to put some deep drawers in here. So you'll be able to have extra wardrobe if you choose the king bed as an option. Now there is more storage, and I want to point that out right here. So you have this wardrobe right here. And have I mentioned that everything is locking latches? I think I have. I don't know if I made a point of it, but most standard travel trailers in America have a roller latch and a teeny little ball latch that you just pop it in. If you go on and look at trailers, to me, I'm always like, if you're going to claim you're a quality built trailer or an off-road trailer and you don't have locking latches, that's crazy, because the second you hit a bump, these doors open, everything flies out. I've had that happen to me on trailers that aren't even considered off-road, like on-road. Just driving down the highway, I made a sharp turn in a motorhome. The door opened and a jar of pickle juice came out, shattered. It was disgusting. Ruined the trip. Kind of ruined the trip. It just was a mess. Anyway, everything in this trailer is going to completely lock, so you're not going to have issues with things flying out. Now, here's our central vac hose system, and this thing will stretch all over the whole trailer. And then above here, we have a clothing rod, so you can hang up suits, dresses, shirts. And down below here, you have these drawers and everything with the soft close as well. Like I mentioned, you'll have more space if you choose the king size for some more drawers, and then the space up along here as well on each side. Overall, I feel like this has a very good amount of storage space. Another thing that I haven't mentioned yet, and I said I would later on, is these windows. So these windows are a polycarbonate window. So I wish you could touch. You cannot touch this the way I'm touching. The sun is shining in and there's no temperature. Hey, camera guy, will you touch this and just back me up on this?
Wow, actually, that's surprising.
Isn't that surprising?
On the outside of the window,
it's hot.
I was cleaning them earlier. It was hot.
Yeah.
Like you'd expect.
Yeah.
But you can't feel it all inside.
Yeah, it's actually incredible. So some people have asked me what trailers do we have that are the best in cold weather. I think this trailer, the POSX 22.4, is the trailer that we're going to have that's best, not just in cold weather, but also in hot weather. And it comes with the walls, the way the walls are constructed, the roof, the radius roof, it's thicker, right? At some points, dual furnaces. I pointed out some furnaces in the front. Here's our bedroom zone. And then you have another zone that's right underneath the kitchen sink. So you have two furnaces. But also these windows. It's incredible. Like, they're dual pane. They have a gas in the middle, and that creates a really good thermal barrier, so you don't have hot and cold coming through. Another really cool feature about these windows is the actual frame themselves is a polymer. It's a type of plastic. So, and why that is cool is because the heat doesn't transfer through like it would metal or aluminum. Yeah, I mean, if you have a house, a new residential house that uses vinyl windows, you go and touch those and they're not hot. And in the winter, they're not cold. If you go to an old house that has aluminum or metal windows, you're gonna have condensation coming through, moisture. They're gonna be burning hot in the summer and they're gonna be freezing cold. You'll find frost in the winter because that metal conducts whatever is outside. So these windows, I love these windows. At first I was kind of like, it's all plastic. And sometimes people have this idea of like, is it cheap because it's plastic? No, I mean, airplanes, you go into airplanes and they're very expensive, and a lot of the stuff in there is plastic too. And then these windows have this setting where once you hear that click, it will open and stay at that spot. And then it actually has 3 different settings. That's one. And then another cool thing about this is generally the polycarbonate windows that I've seen in most trailers, they stop about right there. Actually, they stop closer to like right there. So you do have pretty good airflow, but look at this one. This one goes all the way up there. Look at that. Isn't that so cool? You have a perfect view out. So that window is no longer blocking. It goes completely straight. So you have a perfect view out your window without that blocking your view at all. And then if you're worried about the bugs, of course, you can pull this screen down and it's a super fine screen So you're not going to get any little mosquitoes or bugs through that. And also, it's so nice. It's been hot today, and that's created some good airflow. Do you feel that? That's not just me, right? This is so nice to be able to have that nice airflow. Check out that view.
That's insane.
Isn't that awesome? This is just uptight and out of sight. And if I don't want the view, go away. And this is, it's amazing how much, like, how hotter or warmer it got in here because that air flow isn't happening. But there you have it. And that's also nice is because that actually can block out the sun as well with the windows. So, man, there you have it. Didn't know I could do a 5-minute segment on windows, but there's so many cool things about these windows. So there you have it. This trailer is so beautiful. It is like one of our most popular trailers was the 17.4, which is very similar to this trailer with the deck. The only difference is this has the deck with a separate bedroom, separate bathroom, all aluminum cabinetry. It truly is Paz's flagship trailer. This has the most features, the most components. So if you're looking for something top of the line, the most high-end trailer that you can buy in America right now, this is it. Like, this is going to have more features, more capabilities, more components, and better built than any Airstream on the market. And that's really saying something special about Palomino and Paz and Forest River. They really have upped their game and have brought to market something unique and different, unlike anything else out on the market. So there you have it. You have questions. I know I haven't covered every single detail. So go down below. You can download a brochure that will give you the specs, the lengths, the weights, and everything. If you go down and download that brochure, there will be a page attached to it that will have the included changes that will be in the actual production units. There's a few of them. Also, sign up for the email because we will be releasing exclusive content via email only. You will not be able to get that content anywhere else. We're sending it privately just to people that are subscribed to the email on this unit. So thank you for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. If you want to see it, reach out to one of our stores and hopefully we can show it to you. It is in Utah right now if you do want to make that trip out to come and see it in person. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.